End of an era in Afghanistan. After 20 years, all remaining U.S. troops will be out of the country within days. Security in the country is deteriorating. Some members of the Afghan security forces are laying down their weapons and are returning home. The Taliban reportedly now control 50 of 370 Afghan districts. Is the country heading toward a bloody civil war? Well, here to provide some insights is Major General Jeffrey Schloesser. Mr. Schloesser is former commanding general of the 101st Airborne Division and Regional Command EAS. He's author of the new book, Marathon War, Leadership in Combat in Afghanistan. General Schloesser, it's good to talk with you, sir. So, Marathon War, America's longest, now withdrawal, and a strong Taliban ready to pounce. Are all the gains slipping away? Is Afghanistan heading for disaster? Your thoughts?
Gary, first I want to, reassure everybody that's listening that, for 20 years, our daughters, our sons, our men and women from America and our NATO allies prevented another attack in our country like 9/11. So for 2 decades, we've enjoyed some security from being involved in Afghanistan. But as you say, the Taliban are making huge having military success throughout the country. There's no need for them to do any kind of, applying themselves to a negotiated treaty. They're going to take over the country militarily here, and we're going to leave. And that's going to leave, I think, a huge vacuum in the area. And I would say that without trying to be grim, to our listeners, I think that there'll be a safe haven recreated in Afghanistan, not unlike what we had prior to 9/11.
Well, General, that's not very positive there. You're a 34-year Army veteran. You served in Afghanistan for 15 months. You were the first Global War on Terrorism Planning Director at the Pentagon. So please explain to me how the U.S. goal of eradicating al-Qaeda and its bases in Afghanistan evolved into nation building and fighting the Taliban. How did that happen?
Yeah, and Gary, that's a wonderful question that the American people need to understand. We went in there right after immediately 9/11 with a very simple mission: bring al-Qaeda to justice, either through capturing or killing their leadership and the majority of their followers, and then also to get rid of the Taliban, because the Taliban had provided that safe haven. We, by and large, pushed al-Qaeda out of the country, and they went to Pakistan. And eventually, over about another 9 or 10 years, we were able to capture or kill Osama bin Laden and capture or kill most of the al-Qaeda leadership at the time. But that didn't mean they were eliminated. And what we did is we also pushed out the Taliban. So we were relatively successful. But about mid-year of that, mid-decade, we looked around Afghanistan and we said, my gosh, if we don't stay here, this place is just going to roll back to being just another, complete safe haven for terrorism and planning against our country. And so we made that sort of, and I won't call it a fatal step, but we made a decision to move forward in nation building. And it's taken trillions of dollars, a lot of lives, a lot of national treasure in the way what we say, blood from our, young men and women. And that is been fairly unsuccessful. I have to be honest with you, Gary. When we look around, we were unable to recreate Afghanistan and what we wanted it to be, which was, we didn't try to be a democratic country. We didn't think of that, or something like America, but we wanted to be a successful country with its own government. And this is proving to be, it's not going to be, we have not had a success. How's that?
Well, nearly 2,400 American deaths, 20,000 wounded, many of them limbless or with life-changing, life-altering wounds. Also a big cost in American treasure, more than $2 trillion to wage the 20-year war. So since my generation's war, Vietnam, it seems like the United States wages war, we pay a heavy cost, then we leave without winning. Has Afghanistan been worth it?
What we wanted to do was take the fight to their country. If we were going to have a fight against terrorists, we were going to do it where they were rather than have it in our country where we would have civilians involved. And I think we've been reasonably successful. I mean, we've had to be involved not only in Afghanistan, but around the world. This war against terrorism is not going to go away, even as we face, a resurgent Russia, or however you want to look at Russia, and pair competition with the Chinese. The terrorists have not given up. They don't like our country. They don't believe in our economy. They don't believe in our system of government or the rights that our citizens have. And we would be naive to think that this ends as we walk out of Afghanistan.
Okay, Major General Jeffrey Schloesser, author of the book Marathon War, Leadership in Combat in Afghanistan. Thank you, General, for sharing your experience and your insights today. We appreciate it.
And Gary, thanks for having me on the show.